Welcome to the modern art market, where a half-melted Barbie glued to a shoebox is social commentary, and finger paint on a pizza box is post-industrial surrealism. And if you think that's the dumbest thing someone tried to sell as art, oh, we're just getting started. 1. A woman in Portland tried to sell a burnt Pop-Tart titled Existential Breakfast. She described it as a commentary on the fleeting nature of joy. Translation: she incinerated her breakfast and decided to gaslight capitalism. The pastry looked like it had seen combat, its filling barely surviving the toaster apocalypse. The listing proudly said $85, firm, because apparently the ashes of her mistakes have artistic value. If this is art, my smoke detector is the next Da Vinci. 2. A guy in Florida listed a used tissue taped to printer paper under the title Emotional Release. He wrote that it captures the vulnerability of man. It captured something, all right? Probably influenza. The tissue looked like it had survived a breakup and a sinus infection. He asked $12 for it. Somewhere, Monet is spinning in his grave while this man's allergies make him a modern visionary. 3. A college student in Brooklyn glued a single Cheerio to a blank canvas and called it breakfast minimalism. Asking price, $45. The listing said, a critique of consumer emptiness. No, it's a critique of breakfast. The Cheerio was slightly off-center, as if it too was trying to leave. She called it a meditation on the void, which is exactly what my stomach is after skipping breakfast to afford your cereal art. 4. A man in Los Angeles duct-taped a banana to the wall and named it The Reboot. $400, pickup only. His bio called him a self-taught visionary. Translation: he saw the meme, copied it, and forgot to feel shame. He added, the banana is real and biodegradable. Great, so is your career, my dude. This is less art, more compost with ambition. 5. A woman in Wisconsin photographed a pile of dryer lint and listed it as Untitled, Soft Chaos. She claimed it represented the residue of modern existence. Ma'am, that residue is Tide. She was asking $75 for what most people scrape out of their machine filter. She even warned, no lowball offers. The only thing lower than that lint is her self-awareness. 6. A man in Texas framed an old McDonald's receipt and called it late capitalism. The total? $6.47 for a filet-o-fish and small fries. He claimed it symbolizes the decay of the working class. No, it symbolizes your inability to clean your car. He priced it at $60, which ironically is the price of 10 filet-o-fish. 7. A woman in Toronto listed an empty mason jar titled Captured Air from My Last Relationship. Price: $25, local pickup. She claimed it contained the lingering energy of heartbreak. Yeah, it contains air. She even warned, do not open, you'll let the pain out. Ma'am, that's not trauma, that's oxygen. Still, points for honesty. This might be the first time emotional emptiness was accurately priced. 8. A guy from Georgia tried to sell a single glitter-covered baby sock titled Lost Innocence. He said it symbolized childhood fragility. It symbolized laundry neglect. The sock was crusted with what looked like kindergarten shame, and he wanted $40. I've seen more innocence in a tax audit. 9. A woman in Arizona listed a half-melted Barbie doll as feminine decay. It looked like she microwaved feminism. The description said, a study of societal pressure. No, it's a study in what happens when you leave toys in your car during a heat wave. The face looked like Salvador Dali designed a nightmare, asking $150, which is apparently the going rate for melted plastic trauma. 10. A man in Seattle tried to sell a blank sheet of printer paper for $200. The title? Untitled, Silence. His description read, the absence of form is the form. No, the absence of effort is the scam. He added, shipping may crease the work. Buddy, if that happens, print another. Somewhere in an art school, a professor just threw a chair through a window. 11. A woman in Louisiana listed a potato chip that looked like Jesus under the name The Savior Snack. She wanted $500. The description said it was lightly salted by divine tears. It looked more like Danny DeVito in a windstorm. She warned, not for consumption, which feels unnecessary. I wasn't planning to eat your theology. 12. A guy in Montana sold a taxidermied squirrel holding a shot glass titled Refined Rodent. $180 or trade for vintage whiskey. He said it was a meditation on mortality. Yeah, a meditation done by someone who clearly lost it halfway through. The squirrel's expression was pure regret. The listing said, "Conversation starter." Sure, as in, why is that dead squirrel drinking bourbon? 13. A man in Philadelphia tried to sell his unflushed toilet as cycle of life. He called it a statement on waste. No, it's a statement on hygiene. The listing photo was censored, thankfully, but you could still sense the odor through the pixels. The post was deleted after 2 hours, proving there is at least one line Facebook refuses to cross. 14. A college girl in Denver offered a pile of broken earbuds as modern isolation. She said it represented how technology connects and divides us. It looked like a bowl of electrical spaghetti. $40, no refunds. She said she'd consider trades for emotional clarity. Honestly, she might have been the most self-aware one in this entire lineup. 15. A guy in Boston tried to sell a half-eaten apple taped to a plate, titled Temptation Redux. He wrote, "A modern reflection on the fall of man." Sure, if Adam was lazy and ate half his homework. The apple was browning faster than his credibility, but he called it a living piece. For $90, you too could own decomposition with moral undertones. 16. A woman in New Mexico posted a completely black Polaroid and called it the unseen. She said it revealed what lies beyond the veil. What it revealed was that her flash didn't work. 75, she added, only true empaths will understand it. Translation, if you can see anything, you're hallucinating. Congrats, you get it. 17. A guy in Detroit placed a single shoe in a bowl of milk and titled it Consumer Footprint. $120, local pickup only. He said it explored the intersection of nourishment and identity. It explored spoiled dairy and mildew. The shoe was visibly moldy. The milk looked radioactive, and the whole thing screamed, "Cry for help." Worst part? Someone commented, "Still available?" Because of course they did. 18. A woman in Chicago sold a half-used Yankee candle for $60 and called it the smell of absence. Her description said it represented the fading warmth of connection. Ma'am, it represents that you ran out of wick. The photo looked like a sad wax crater with a single burnt stub, an emotional support candle that gave up halfway through the semester. She insisted the scent tells a story. Yeah, that story is, you forgot to blow it out during a breakup. Honestly, this wasn't art. It was the smell of debt and emotional instability. But to her credit, it sold, proving once again that nostalgia and nose blindness are a dangerous combo. 19. A guy in Nevada listed a broken mirror under the name Fragmented Self. He said it symbolized the fractured identity of the modern man. No, it symbolized your inability to carry furniture carefully. He wanted $150 and proudly wrote, "Each shard reflects a different version of me." Yeah, mostly the one who refuses to admit fault. The reflection was so warped, it made him look like a Picasso experiment gone wrong. He said, "It's not broken, it's evolving." That's one way to rebrand personal failure. Just call it cubism. 20. A woman in Maine sold a single French fry encased in resin, titled Preserved Indulgence. She wrote that it freezes the fleeting joy of consumption, or, just a fry she forgot under the car seat. She wanted $80, claiming it was her commentary on fast food immortality. Honestly, she's not wrong. That fry would probably outlive us all. She added, "Please don't eat it." Don't worry, Karen. Nobody's buying resin fries for the taste. It's performance art meets diabetes prevention. 21. A man in Kansas City tried to sell an unplugged lamp for $100. Title, Enlightenment, Unrealized. The description said, it explores potential without power. Buddy, that's not philosophy, that's just a broken lamp. The photo was taken in a pitch-black room, which honestly worked. It perfectly captured the concept of regret. He added, "No bulb included? That's part of the message." Yeah, the message being you lost it at Home Depot. If irony could power light, this man could illuminate the entire Midwest. 22. A woman in Miami posted a half-empty wine glass on a coaster and called it Stillness in Motion. She wrote, "This piece holds a conversation between movement and surrender." No, it holds the aftermath of brunch. The reflection of her TV in the wine glass gave it away. Real Housewives reruns, Season 6. She wanted $110. The most impressive part was her bravery in pretending this was art. and not evidence of procrastination. Somewhere, Monet just fell off a cloud. 23. A guy in Minnesota tried to sell a dirty snowball in his freezer as frozen memory. He said he collected it during a moment of spiritual clarity. Sure, probably right after slipping on the sidewalk. He wanted $30 pickup only, meaning he expected you to drive through the snow to buy his snow. He warned, it may melt during transport. Translation: you're paying for disappointment and humidity. The fact that this man listed perishable precipitation online says everything about America's relationship with meaning. 24. A woman in Oregon glued 37 googly eyes to a toaster and called it domestic surveillance. She said it symbolized the paranoia of modern appliances. It symbolized her lack of hobbies. She wanted $90 for what looked like a Muppet having a breakdown. The best part was her disclaimer: toaster not included. So what you're actually buying is a handful of googly eyes and an existential crisis. It's like if paranoia itself had an Etsy store. 25. A guy from Utah poured ketchup onto a dinner plate and froze it, naming it arterial flow. He claimed it represented the consumer's role in the body politic. No, it represented his fridge giving up. The photo looked like a crime scene at a burger joint. He added, "Do not defrost. You'll ruin the message." Buddy, the message was ruined the second you called Heinz 57 your muse. Asking price, $75 plus shipping if you dare. 26. A woman in North Carolina sold her childhood diary with every page ripped out except one. She called it Redacted Girlhood. Price, $250. The single page left simply said, "I hate gym class." The listing claimed it was an exploration of feminine silence, more like a preteen meltdown with marketing. Still, she called it a brave reclaiming of identity. I call it charging rent for nostalgia. If trauma had an Etsy page, this would be it. 27. A man in Colorado listed a deflated balloon with the caption, "Joy deflated." He claimed it commented on impermanence. No, it commented on gravity. The photo showed him holding it dramatically against a beige wall like he was auditioning for sadness. He added, "Still contains traces of helium and memory." Memory of what? A disappointing birthday? Price, $25, he said, pickup only. Yeah, I bet. Shipping might accidentally inflate your ego. 28. A woman in Tennessee posted a crusty paint roller under the name Industrial Bloom. She said it represented creation from decay. No, it represented your garage. It was covered in hardened teal paint, clearly from a failed DIY project. She priced it at $60 and said, "It's a reminder that art can emerge from labor." Sure, but mostly it's a reminder that you didn't buy drop cloth, so. 29. A guy in Washington, D.C. sold a broken iPhone charger labeled "Connection Lost." He described it as a reflection of our dependence on technology. Yeah, and your inability to stop yanking cords from walls. He wanted $40 for it, despite it being literally useless. He said, "You can still feel the current. I can feel something, mostly pity." It's the kind of art that perfectly captures the phrase, "I gave up halfway through charging." 30. A woman in Kentucky tried to sell her vacuum bag contents as domestic dust. She called it an archive of forgotten moments. Sure, if those moments include cat hair and cornflakes. She wanted $100 for what looked like the aftermath of a crime scene in a bakery. She claimed it challenges our idea of what's disposable. So does this entire video. Still, she sold it, proving there's always a buyer for metaphorical filth. 31. A guy in San Diego posted a photo of a hole in his drywall titled "Absence of Structure." He said it was a statement on domestic vulnerability. No, it's a statement on missing a stud. The hole was the size of a fist, definitely emotionally inspired. He wanted $200, adding, "Pickup only, the wall is still attached." So yes, he was selling you his actual wall. Somewhere, an art collector is crying and a landlord is dialing 911. 32. A woman in New York City listed a coffee-stained napkin with the words "I tried" written in Sharpie. She titled it "Persistence, $50 or best offer." The listing said, "It's about endurance and caffeine." Yeah, it's about brunch gone wrong. The stain formed what she called a symbolic eclipse, but it looked like an accident. She said it was not just art, it's a mood. Correct. That mood is exhaustion with delusion sprinkled on top. 33. A man in Alabama posted his old Crocs nailed to a wooden board, calling it the working man's burden. He said it represented comfort through struggle. It represented your inability to throw things away. He wanted $80, claiming the sweat is authentic. Congratulations, you've invented hillbilly conceptualism. Somewhere, Duchamp's ghost just sighed. 34. A woman in Idaho sold a cracked egg sitting on a spoon for $120 under the name Potential, wasted. She said it symbolized dreams unrealized. Yeah, and breakfast ruined. The egg had been sitting long enough to develop an aura of salmonella and despair. She said, "It's fragile, yet eternal." Eternal? Not unless you mean in the afterlife. It's the only art piece that requires both refrigeration and therapy. 35. A guy in Oklahoma listed a single light switch plate smeared with paint and titled it "On-Off: The Illusion of Control." He claimed it explored human agency within modern systems. Buddy, it explores the fact that you didn't tape your wall before painting. He wanted $90, saying, "You can touch it, but you'll never turn it on." Yeah, same goes for your personality. The photo was framed like a museum exhibit, complete with moody lighting. It looked less like art and more like a crime scene where someone murdered minimalism. If power outlets ever start unionizing, this is the guy they'll sue first. 36. A woman in Las Vegas glued cigarette butts into the shape of a heart and called it "Love Kills." She described it as a commentary on toxic relationships. It was also a commentary on lung capacity. The listing included a note: "Smell adds authenticity." Yeah, so does cancer. She wanted $120, adding, "Each cigarette was smoked with intention." Lady, that's not art. That's just being unemployed with a nicotine habit. The entire thing looked like Cupid's ashtray, and I swear you could smell it through the screen. 37. A man in Ohio filled a blender with Barbie heads and titled it "Domestic Tension." He said it represented the deconstruction of femininity. It represented that he should be on a watch list. The photo had perfect lighting, warm tones, soft shadows, and deep psychological horror. He priced it at $250, claiming the viewer becomes complicit by observing. Buddy, I'm not complicit, I'm concerned. If Buffalo Bill had an Etsy store, this would be his bestseller. 38. A woman in Utah listed a single Pringle stuck in a glob of hot glue titled "Once You Pop." She said it symbolized capitalism's inability to stop consuming itself. Sure, but it also symbolizes your inability to find a hobby. The chip had been clearly licked, art's greatest tragedy. She wanted $60 explaining the fragility adds meaning. No, the fragility adds ants. It was like Andy Warhol's ghost possessing a 7-Eleven clerk. 39. A guy from Pennsylvania duct-taped a Roomba to a skateboard and called it the modern worker. He said it represented automation and labor fatigue. It represented a guaranteed lawsuit. The video demo showed it repeatedly crashing into his couch, a performance piece, apparently. He said each impact symbolizes resistance. Resistance to what? Physics? He wanted $300 or trade for something emotionally equivalent, like a hug or crypto. Somewhere, Karl Marx just short-circuited. 40. A woman in Oregon arranged her toenail clippings into a mandala and called it "Cycle of Renewal." She wrote, "These fragments are both me and not me." No, they're just gross. She priced it at $85, claiming it's sustainably sourced. You mean from your feet. The photo looked like a horror film intro and should have come with a biohazard label. If there's one thing that doesn't need to be recycled, it's human residue. Still, she got 3 bids. Humanity's doomed. 41. A man in Florida covered a mannequin in slices of ham and titled it "Flesh 2.0." He said it questions what it means to be human in a post-meat society. It mostly questioned why you have so much deli meat. He added, "Flies are part of the installation." I bet they are. The whole thing looked like Ed Gein's brunch. He priced it at $500 and claimed it was refrigerated between viewings. Yeah, so was Jeffrey Dahmer's collection. 42. A woman in Nebraska sold a single goldfish cracker inside a wine glass titled "Luxury." She said it reflects wealth disparity. No, it reflects a snack. She wanted $75 and claimed the fish represents the average citizen, suffocating in opulence. That's deep for something that came from a box with a cartoon smile. It looked like Gordon Ramsay's worst nightmare. The comments were split between people mocking it and one guy asking if the cracker came with the glass. America in one thread. 43. A man in Arizona listed a single hot dog nailed to a 204 and called it Nailed It. He said it explored sacrifice in modern masculinity. It also explored botulism. The description said meat sourced locally, which in Arizona probably means gas station. The nail had rust. The sausage had regret. He priced it at $200, adding, "It's preserved in spirit." Yeah, and probably salmonella. It's like Jesus and Home Depot collaborated on a foodborne illness. 44. A woman in New York posted a photo of her unmade bed and titled it "The Daily Battle." She claimed it represented the war between discipline and surrender. It represented laziness. She priced it at $400 because the wrinkles were intentional. Sure, and my student loans were conceptual. She added, "The sheets tell my story." Yeah, that story is you hit snooze 6 times. If Entropy had a sponsor, it'd be her duvet cover. 45. A guy in Denver painted a rock entirely black and called it the Void. He said, "It confronts the fear of nothingness. No, it confronts the fear of being broke." He added, "When you look closely, you'll see yourself." Probably because it's shiny. He wanted $250. Honestly, I can't even be mad. It's the most honest art so far. It's just a rock, and at least he knows it. 46. A woman in Alabama made a sculpture out of chewed gum titled Resilience. She said each piece represented a moment of perseverance. Lady, each piece represented gingivitis. The thing looked like a coral reef built by toddlers. She warned, "Do not display in heat." You don't say. She priced it at $95, probably to pay her dental bills. Art might imitate life, but this one smelled like mint and regret. 47. A man in Washington tried to sell an unplugged microwave with a mirror inside it called Inner Warmth. He said it represented our longing for emotional heating. Translation: he was cold and lonely. He priced it at $150, claiming, "When you look in, you see yourself in the cycle." Yeah, specifically in the cycle of bad decisions. It's equal parts appliance and cry for help. 48. A woman in Illinois posted her car's air freshener dangling from a stick and titled it "Hope on a String." She said it embodied the endurance of optimism. It embodied expired vanilla scent. She wanted $60, adding, "The scent is faint but persistent." Same could be said for her logic. The photo looked like a hostage note for happiness. Somewhere, Fabrizi just called the cops. 49. A guy in San Francisco uploaded a screenshot of his empty crypto wallet titled "Digital Poverty." He said it exposes the illusion of wealth. No, it exposes that you bought Dogecoin at the wrong time. He wanted $300 to fund the next piece, which, presumably, would also be failure. It's the first NFT that actually stands for no financial thinking. 50. A woman in New Jersey sold her Wi-Fi router wrapped in tinfoil and called it "Connection Interrupted." She claimed it symbolized digital isolation. It symbolized paranoia. She said it blocks the noise. Lady, you are the noise. She wanted $400 and warned, "Approach with open mind and grounded spirit." Sure, but maybe also a grounded electrical outlet. If conspiracy had a showroom, this would be centerpiece. 51. A guy in California took a selfie of himself staring at his phone camera and listed it as self-awareness. Price: $1 million. He said, "It's the most honest art ever made. I'm literally selling attention." And you know what? He's right. Every like, every scroll, every view, it's all performance art now. He didn't create art, he exposed the rest of us as the gallery. A burnt Pop-Tart started this journey, and somehow this guy ended it by turning the whole internet into his exhibit. That's not stupidity, that's prophecy disguised as narcissism. Curtain closed, mic dropped. Humanity sold separately. Drop your vote in the comments, hit that like button for more cultural breakdowns, and remember, somewhere out there, someone's probably framing this video as performance art.